Last time on TTTTT.
Hardcore players like myself. Alright, let's keep going with World 2 of my dev commentary on my Mario Maker campaign, Two Twins Travel Through Time. You know, normally in video game series, the second game is usually the best one. The first one, they're still trying to find their footing, they're experimenting. The second one is where they really start to master their craft. And the third one is the game that jumps the shark and kills the series for good. Here, I can't say that about my campaign. I think World 2 is actually the low point of my campaign. In part due to the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme. I don't know what to do with this theme. Super Mario Bros. 1, it's quite easy to figure out what you should do with it. You've got the amiibo costumes, and the fact that you can grab items means that you can do some like time trial stuff with P-switches and stuff. In this case, you've got abilities that you can find in the other games. Super Mario World in particular. Super Mario Bros. 3 is Super Mario World, except without a spin jump, so there's not a whole lot of potential for interesting level design. So what I did here was try to make levels that are a bit more focused on exploration, and that gave people incentive to play over and over again. For example, in this case, the path that I went through is a flying path. But if I went to the top left instead, I would have grabbed a Goomba shoe, and in that case, instead of being about flying and jumping on tight platforms, it would have been about just having quick reflexes, bouncing on saws and the like. So there's at least something new to find if you play the level twice. But I just think that it's not quite as fast-paced as World 1, and the challenges here aren't quite as satisfying as World 3. It's just... As a matter of fact, I think this world is just too challenging for a second world in a Mario game in general. World 2, we're still talking about very early game stuff. And while my campaign's more akin to a 4 game, because World 5 and onwards are much more gimmicky, I still think that World 2, you should assume that the player still doesn't know the mechanics of the game quite well yet. So things like this jump, for example, doesn't feel like a World 2. That's my biggest failure with World 2. Too much stop and go, and too hard for a World 2. But oh well. I'm gonna be able to make that jump eventually, so I can finally show you the rest of the level. I can't even blame input lag or anything. I'm playing on the gamepad, so there's nothing like the game card affecting me or anything. I'm just straight up trash. Come on, I've got other things to show. My battery's already running red. Alright. Okay, here we go. Let's go. So if you're able to get here while the P-switch is still active, you can get this bomb early, which is great because you're able to get a fire flower for later on. The normal way you're supposed to get that bomb is first you need to get a mushroom to get this helmet, and then you use the helmet to break open this block, which gives you first a checkpoint, which is always useful, but also access to the bomb. What you need to do after getting the helmet is you get through this path, and basically, if you don't know what your helmet can do, you can just let these thwomps bounce on you and carry on onwards. But what I prefer to do is jump so that they're forced upwards, which allows you, if you grab the boot here, to get into this pipe for a faster path. If you do that, you get a star, which basically lets you wreck everything in your path. this section is a small Metroidvania. I don't think it meshes well with the start of the level, which is like a series of small platforming challenges. But I do think Mario Maker is quite nice in that it allows you to try things that would fit in a Mario game, but that Nintendo wouldn't really include in a Mario game. Like forcing you to get upgrades in order to finish a level. This part here is the total opposite of the Metroidvania we just went through. It's a very fast pace. You've got 30 seconds to get out of the airship that's getting attacked by the Koopas that are mad that you stole their ship. The concept I went with World 2 is based on the game that I'm stealing the theme from. In this case, Super Mario Bros. 3 was a play instead of an actual adventure. So here it's a TV series. Mario starts out and he's gathering intel from the Koopa clan. Then in World 2, he's actually stealing their ship. In World 3, he's getting attacked, so he loses control of the ship. But in 2-4, you actually reach the Tower of Treasures, which is your goal to get super rich. Again, 2-4 is a level where I struggled with Super Mario Maker's lack of verticality. So what I did, and I'm gonna go back just to show it to you, is I used these doors to give the illusion that this level is super high, while it isn't. It's actually one of the first levels I did in Super Mario Maker, just to mess around with the tools and see what I could do. So these doors are actually the parts that connect everything together. And as you can see, as we get upwards, we can see the cannon for the next section and the door that I'm gonna go through, even though it's not actually the door I'm going through. So it gives the illusion that I'm still climbing while I'm not. It's a different part of the level. So we can go pretty far up while still sticking to that 2 screen of height limitation of Super Mario Maker. And this level is basically an adaptation of a game I really enjoyed, a free indie game called Tower of Heaven. In that game, you basically were climbing this tower while a deity would keep adding new rules, so you couldn't walk left, you couldn't touch the side of blocks and all that. So it made for a very interesting dynamic, and while here I cannot add these custom rules, I did want to include that feeling of climbing a dangerous tower in order to get the riches within. In this case, a nice string of gold, and then you're killed. So yeah, that was World 2. I think the flaws in this world are really that it's too challenging for how far you are in the campaign, and that it doesn't mesh as well together as World 1 and World 3. But I think there's still something there that might appeal to people who are looking for more exploration in the Mario levels.